Okay, so let's while we get Brian set up here, let's just cut to this clip from this morning. Representative Bruce Skaug was in committee, and he was presenting a bill that would, I guess we should back up here for a little bit, but the whole ballot initiative process in Idaho has gotten a big attention, especially because of Prop 1. And when Prop 1, the ballot initiative to have jungle primaries and ranked choice voting that y'all voted down overwhelmingly last year, it was largely funded by two things. It was funded by two things: lots and lots of money from outside the state, and lots of lies. And those two combinations can have a devastating effect. Luckily, the grassroots and the the truth set us free, so to speak, and the prop was defeated. However, we've seen in the past how things can go, so Representative Bruce Skaug has taken a crack at trying to identify a particular part of this initiative process that would allow for the governor to veto the ballot initiative if it passes. If the governor has the power to veto a bill that the legislature passes, he should have the same power. He or she should have the same power to veto a bill that that goes through the ballot initiative process. And so there was a little bit of back and forth with some questions on this between Representative Todd Achilles, the Democrat, who was a huge force behind Prop 1, one of the major players behind Prop 1. And so we know that the big lefty activists, the only way they can get their stuff through is through ballot initiative process, through lies and through a lot of that leftist money that comes in from out of state. So with that, there was a little bit of a back and forth between the two. So let's watch a little bit of that.
Chairman, Representative Skaug, so why after 100+ years and only 15 successful initiatives in Idaho history do we think now is the time to assume that the Constitution was inappropriately silent on the role of the governor in this? I still don't understand what problem we're trying to solve.
Representative Skaug.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Achilles, I thought you were going to tell me this is a brilliant idea, so I'm a little surprised at your question. I've explained my philosophy on this and why I think it's important. We just went through an initiative process where the initiative failed, but there were so many lies that were out there propelled by millions of dollars from out of state, some in state. I think this levels things out in a good way.
Follow up?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Representative Skaug, does any other state have a provision for an initiative or a referendum to be vetoed by the governor?
Representative Skaug.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Achilles, I do not know. I didn't bother to look.
Okay, let's bring in Brian Allman here to kind of walk us through a little bit this with us. We had a flyer here, Brian, from some of the Prop 1 proponents. Do we have that? Can we throw that up on the screen? Here are some of the lies that was sent out by the folks at Vote Yes on Prop 1. They talked about how Idaho had open primaries for 40 years before they were closed, and this would restore open primaries. And I don't know who particularly paid for this particular one, but they quoted the Coeur d'Alene Press, who said that they were a strong yes on Prop 1. So yeah, Brian, I mean, this is what we were up against during that whole battle. What do you think of Representative Skaug's solution here to have the governor have a say in this type of legislation?
It's an interesting one. It's not something I thought of, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because like Representative Skaug says, the governor can veto laws passed by the legislature, in which case they need to come back with a 2/3 majority. So if the lawmaking power of the citizens of Idaho is equal to that of the legislature, then should it have the same checks and balances from the governor? I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Recall that Representative Skaug also introduced a bill earlier this session that would raise the threshold for a citizens initiative to become law from 50% plus one to 60%, which some other states have varying systems. The initiative process, it was put in our Constitution many years ago by essentially during the progressive era, this idea that we need citizens to be more involved and active in government, and we can use that to shape things the way we want and put a check on corruption and runaway government. Obviously, The point that Representative Skaug made in the previous hearing on the raising the threshold is that this is not really a citizens initiative anymore, is it? It's become this plaything for big out-of-state organizations who want to change Idaho law by doing an end run around the Idaho legislature, which is central to our Republican form of government. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the best solution is, but it's interesting to see these come forth and have the debates. Obviously, Representative Achilles is not necessarily unbiased here. He was one of the major backers of Proposition 1, and so he's obviously invested in continuing this initiative process, and we know that they've got more things on deck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We know with the initiative process, unlike, bills that can just pop up in an RS hearing right away, you have to gather signatures. You have to go through the motions. You got to get approval of your language from the AG. You got to get a fiscal note attached to it. So we do get a little bit of runway here when we know that a ballot initiative is coming. And so we've heard rumblings of an abortion one. I think they're collecting signatures on making abortion legal in Idaho, and possibly marijuana to some extent, recreational marijuana or something like that. So there's all sorts of these initiatives that you see happen around the country. And this is just going to be another way for us to protect ourselves as a small state, 2 million people that have to rally around together to make sure that the truth comes forward when you've got this onslaught of outside leftist interests pumping in their support for guys like Achilles. So I don't know. I'm glad they're trying to do something. I don't know if any of this stuff will ever get over the hill, though.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens. One interesting thing to compare the legislature with the Citizens Initiative is that in the legislature, if somebody comes up with something, whether it's true or false, an opinion, they can immediately be pushed back because you have other legislators in the committee or on the floor who can say, "Hold on, this I completely disagree with this. This isn't true." On the other hand, this initiative, they spent millions of dollars of outside money coming in and presenting things that were not true, saying that it was going to just restore open primaries, which, as you said, was not the case at all. And in order to combat that, you needed other people to raise more money to present an opposing point of view. So it's a very different playing field.
Absolutely. And it might have been okay to battle if you knew that the press was on the side of truth. If the press came out and said, by the way, headline, all those things are not true. If they were fact checking, right? If we had the fact checking, if we had community notes, can we put community notes at the bottom of ballot initiatives and all that stuff? I mean, that would be interesting. Anyway. All right. Well, the bill, the RS did get printed. So we'll get a full look at the bill once it's up on the legislative site, and we'll keep tabs on it.